culture queens.
That's
right.
right.
Well, that's culture queens.
Chicanas in the house.
Hey, what's cracking? You're with Miss Lowrider Princess.
Hey, what's up? This is Santanera. We're in the house. Get ready to roll.
Hola, hola. Big Red Chula here. And you're rolling with the culture queens.
Oh.
And what did we do this week? What's going on, girls? It's been a busy week, no?
It's been a really busy
And we haven't
weekend.
seen each other for a long time already. It's
2 weeks?
Honestly, I see you guys on FaceTime every night.
oh,
every
yeah,
day,
we do.
so-
We're like,
yeah. So that's
But
the
not
fun.
like hanged out and really.
Yeah, we've been really busy. I know you've had shows. You had a show going on, Well, I didn't have, but I've been to shows, just cruising and stuff, so.
The Michelada Festival was dope.
How was that?
There was a lot of people. The mariachi was amazing. The danza, the girls, it was pretty poppin'.
Nice.
And then the Lowriders, of course, I hosted the Lowriders.
Oh, my God. They're looking so good over there. Shout outs over there to Indio and everybody on that
Coachella.
side with their lowriders.
It was popping. I
Yeah.
seen
They
the
pulled
videos.
up.
I seen
Yeah.
the pictures.
Yeah, people were really excited to see them. And the little kids that, a lot of them just came to see the Lowriders. They just found out, the Lowriders, and it's like, well, we did it for the Mexican independence, for the culture. So we had, the Selena tribute.
How was that?
Banda Vallarta. It was dope. She did really good. And she's only 19.
Oh, wow.
And she was up there on stage, talking about her parents, they're from Mexico and she was born here, but they taught her Spanish and she talks in Spanish. She sings really good in Spanish, so it's like you
We
can't
missed it.
Yeah, you guys
wow,
missed the
that's
show.
awesome. Well, you know what? We had the show the next day and stuff, and I already said it gets a little hard on me and stuff, and I'm trying to get to the cruise for the Independence Day. So in Santana, we'll see if we make it or not. We'll see if just drive by through it. Stop by, El Gallo Giro, get some tortas, and keep on going. You know what I mean? But
Gotta get the food.
It was good. I actually went to Jesus Quinceañera.
Oh, you went?
My car did not make it. You know what I mean?
She's still in the shop.
Yeah, it's still in the shop. But big shout outs to the Carnal that came through with all the guys. It was they showed up. They showed up and they really came through and they brought
the cars
six,
for
7
you.
cars. Yeah,
Wow.
they did. So big shout out to everybody
That's dope
that came
to support,
out. Yeah.
for that
Nice.
little girl that put that whole quinceañera onto herself.
Yeah.
Wow.
She funded it, right?
Yeah, and you know what? After that, I just went to take the pictures with, to go see her pull up in the Lowriders, and then I couldn't go to the event, but I heard it was great. My neighbor happened to work with her mom,
Wow.
and he saw my name on the flyer, and he told my husband, like, hey, she gonna be part of it? Yeah, and it's a small world, because, this girl, I knew her from social media. I seen her post, and that's how. But then they happen to know my neighbor. Her mom works with my neighbor, and it's just like it's all like full circle. But big shout out to Tony Cordova. Big time. That homeboy came through with everybody.
Nice. Shout out.
Everybody from San Diego, much love, and yeah. So we did that. So I was so happy that she made her dream come through. You know what I mean? It was so awesome to see that.
Shout
And
out.
you, we
Girls
seen you
in the hood,
cruising
where were you?
everywhere.
Oh.
Girls in the hood?
I'm everywhere.
What hood? What hood were you at?
Yes.
Fontana, Ontario, the high desert this weekend. So honestly, I love it. There's nothing like being in your classic and just rolling.
Yeah.
So I've been dealing with my cars. I'm getting my 87. She went back from the takeover show. She went back into the shop just to get a little bit of touch up and stuff. So she'll be ready for Vegas. Vegas is going down the 4th, 5th, and the 6th.
October 5th.
Yeah.
October
Oh, you're going to both?
4th, 5th, and 6th.
4th and 5th. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll be out there. Remember we went last year?
That was fun.
We had a good time. I'm excited
you're in
for
Paula?
this year. Yes, we had a good time. Always a
Cruising in
good time.
Vegas.
Yeah, so Vegas, we're going to be out there in a couple weeks. So we can't wait to hit the streets.
Yeah, I heard it gets popping in Vegas, you know what I mean?
It
so
does.
It's going to be fun to get to see everybody.
They're not ready for you.
Juanita,
They're not
we're on
ready
our
for
way.
Yes, Juanita.
Yes, we're going to be up there, you know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I'm happy that I got to bring La Fea out, and she's going to go cruising tonight. So I'm happy for that because
Hell yeah.
Wow.
You know, when you haven't gotten your car, and she hasn't been washed. You know, like my cousin has washed her here and there. You know, just a little bit, but she's still there. But she still looks so cool because she's just prime, and that's one of the things about
the
having
name,
cars
La
are
Fea.
just
Yeah.
prime. Because if you have it, like, you have to wash that. Make sure you service
Get that
it.
shine.
It's a lot,
Yeah.
yeah. But I seen your car was looking so lovely. You and your
Thank
vice
you.
president car. We went to the
Thank you.
takeover. It was
yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
We got to meet a lot of you guys out there. You know what I mean? Shout out to you guys that see us
Looking for
and
the
follow
culture
us.
queens.
It was fun, man.
Definitely a good time. We love interacting with you. We love hearing your input on the shows, you know, so it's pretty dope, especially when you come out and, you know, you just show us love. It's very warming.
Yes, thank you.
You had the Women in Progress.
Oh,
right?
the Women in Progress
Yes.
next Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday.
So my car club, Dulces Sueños, is going to be rolling out. We're driving our cars. I told the girls already, you guys better, you know, we got AAA. It's okay. We break down.
Exactly. I mean,
So, you know, and one of the girls that's from Street Kings, Street Queens out there, she has a pink car. Her and her husband are going to go out there too. She said, if there's any show that I want to go to, it's that one. So they might catch us on the freeway and like roll with us too.
Okay,
But
that's
we got
nice.
Lisa, you know, riding her Impala, and then, you know, Queen Bee.
that is
She got
so
her 82.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm like, that girl cannot stop getting, you know, I don't think she drives that car. I think she just hops it everywhere.
Yeah,
I love
see
it.
her.
She
I
hops
love
her
it.
stop
She's
and
always
start
talking her
Shout out to her
shit.
queen.
Much
She's just a
love to
hopper.
her.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're driving the cars from Palm Springs to Ontario. So Women in Progress.
Tell her
you
to
know.
save her juice when she gets there, because she's going to be hopping on the freeway.
And that'd be
I know. So we're excited about getting the cars out there. I was like, no, it cooled down, so
I'll
there's
probably
no
meet up
AC
with
in none
you.
of our cars. So it'll be all right.
Yeah, I'll probably meet you out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably
okay.
swing by, because from there I'm going to is it what part? Ghetto
For Ghetto
Life.
Life?
Yeah, Ghetto Life.
I don't know. I have like 3
City.
flyers. So I
I
didn't
know,
look at
same
the,
here.
So yeah,
So, yeah,
those
it's
events.
gonna-
So we might be riding all that day. Who
It's
knows,
gonna be
you
a
know?
busy, another
Saturday's all
busy
riding.
weekend.
Yes,
Busy
yes.
weekend. We try to support as much as we can. You know, sometimes if we don't make it to a show, doesn't mean we're not going to make it to your next one. We just have a lot going on with family and, you know, work. But we definitely, if we're not there, we'll definitely support you in spirit.
And car problems.
I know.
That's
No
our
rider
first.
problems.
So we have our guest, one of my favorite peoples to talk to, because he just has so much knowledge. We have Daniel Pozos in the house.
Hey,
Give it up for
Gracias.
Carnal. He's in the house.
Gracias.
welcome.
Thank you for having me, carnalas.
Yes, Carnal. Welcome over here to our spot. Thanks for
you.
accepting. Thanks for coming. You know, it's a pleasure to have you over here.
It's an honor, carnalas. Thank you. Pleasure's mine.
Yeah, so introduce yourself.
Daniel Pozos, out there in San Diego. Been out there for a minute. Just repping the cultura, the Chicanos, Mexicanos, supporting each other so we can come up. And that's kind of where I come in. Events and with the community. And that's where that's at, carnalas.
Yeah. So me and you met maybe a few years ago.
Yeah.
We met a few years ago. We was at an event for the Lowrider Coalition.
Yes.
That we're doing the whole cruising is not a crime, and I saw you there. It was me and Tia, and you came up. Was like, what you doing? You know what I mean? Because we just know, you just know who is the people that are fighting the cause and all that.
Yeah.
So we're like, but what you doing? And he was like, oh, you know, I'm having an event, and he started telling us about this event. It was a free event. It was all cultural, a lot of local artists, and you had them from everywhere, because there was people from Riverside that came, and he was going to have a screening of the Lowrider movie or something like that, and he's like, yeah, you know, just pull up, whatever. And was like, okay, time passed, and we kind of kept in touch, and we pulled up, and it was a great event. And you want to tell us a little bit about your events, Carnal, how they are?
Yeah, so the whole point of these cultura events is to unite our people, right? So the premise is that to get local people, but people from the other states, from the Aztlán states, from Texas to Colorado to Nuevo Mexico, all to come and unite and celebrate our cultura. What's unique about them is that we push for us to represent the culture. Half the events that happen now of Mexican culture not even run by Mexicans. and they're a charged event. They just had a recent one in San Diego, this taco event, but no one that looks like us, feels like us, or comes
Make
from
money.
our background
They're
like
making
us.
money.
So everyone gets rich off our culture except us. And the point to our things, they're always free, and they're inclusive, not inclusive. So all these events now, it's all about, it's our culture and everything, but we can't get in because of the fee to get in. Yeah. So all of a sudden, it just, well, what happened? So we need to come together. It's time to celebrate our culture, to us give our story and support, right? We need to do that. We have so much history, so much culture. What we might not perceive as culture, someone makes millions off it, right? And that's where we come in under La Mexicana events to say, hey, let's come together. Let's come together as a people. We're the majority now. We don't have anything, but we have culture, we have history. Let's celebrate that together.
Yeah, because it hasn't been too recent years that our culture, the Raza really started getting, the people started getting into law enforcement and stuff like that. Because before, there was none of that. You used to go like to any government office and all you see was other but Mexicans or Chicanos or Latinos or whatever. And so we're here. We're definitely here. We're not, there's a saying, like, we're legal gringo, you know what I mean? Now people could actually work in those places. And something about your events is that you always show people. Because, people that are not Raza, they make these events, they don't even tell information about who we are or what's that event about. Like, Dia de los Muertos and stuff like that.
Yeah, tell us about Dia de los Muertos and the history behind it.
I mean, the history goes way back. We all grew up here, right? And we all celebrated Halloween. And I was lucky enough when I was a child that my neighborhood and my familia celebrated it. So I had double dip, right? Wow. For it was like them, the 31st, it was over. For me, it continued, right? So, and with the cool thing, it was Mexican. Like it was entirely mine, right? Or ours, right? To say it that way. And now people don't find a meaning in Halloween. Yeah. And Dia de los Muertos gives meaning to life, that there's an afterlife, right? That there's a purpose to life, right? And so people see that and they attach themselves to it. Why wasn't it popular before? Because it was very political. Then you start analyzing, well, which tradition is older? Is it Halloween or is it Dia de los Muertos? And if you say Dia de los Muertos, well, who celebrates this? Mexicans. Oh, so they're not immigrants? Right? They've been here? And so that's why until they're able to get a hold on it and make some sort of feria off it, then it's cool. Then it's at Target. Then it's at Macy's or wherever it is, right? But again, everyone makes feria off our culture except us. And if you see Dia de los Muertos, it's like a gift to the whole world. Everyone celebrates it, right? And again, we're stuck with nothing, just watching it on TV, right? So these events, whether it be Dia de los Muertos or Raza events, it's us to come together. We're the majority, right? But what do we have to show for?
It's something beautiful. I like what you said about the neighborhoods. They all came together and they put up, you know.
So in Sherman Heights, where this procession happens, we're talking about earlier, the barrio comes out and it shows out. Like that brown pride, that Viva la Raza, where people are like in tears because a family member just passed and they open up their doors, they have pictures, and they're offering the food of their loved one. Wow. Right? And we have the danzantes come and bless the pictures, and everyone has food outside and champurrado, chocolate, and it's like, wow, we need to do this on a bigger scale, right? Why just here? Why can't we extend it everywhere, right? And Dia de los Muertos is a celebration of life, but it's a celebration of history, of culture, of who we really are, and familia, right? Yeah.
And it's not just about like the calaveras or the altares. It's more to it. You took me on a private tour into Sherman Heights and what it means. So Sherman Heights has this altar, right? That is the homeboys, the fallen soldiers from the neighborhood, and it's very beautiful how everybody embraces it, you know what I mean? Because even that, the homeboys, so they're part of the cultura.
Yeah, well,
We
they're
are
part
the
of the
cultura,
neighborhood,
you know what
right?
I mean?
I think that we all belong to it, and whatever you're into, whether it be low riding, whether it to be corridos, or it to be oldies or whatever, right? We have a common culture that unites us, right? La cultura une, la cultura cura, right? So of course they belong in the neighborhood, and everyone knows them. Someone might see them differently, but they're neighbors, they're sisters, they're brothers, right? They're uncles, they're fathers, and they also have life and feelings, and they too need to be respected and remembered, right?
And you had told me like what the flowers mean.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to everything. It's just not for art's sake, but it has a message. There's a point to it, right? We were talking earlier about even the dress.
The meaning.
Yeah, there's
everything,
meaning.
yeah.
People could do that, but do they really know what they're wearing or what it means, right? Before you used to earn your tattoos. You didn't go to a parlor, right? You called someone, then you did in someone's backyard.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, give me 50,000 and I'll knock it out for you without really earning it,
Yeah.
right? Whatever it means, right? But there was there was a process to it. Now people jump from A to Z right away and want to be recognized. And again, just I want to stress that we have so much culture and history, but we need to be in charge of that, right? This is why the show is beautiful, because we have carnalas here who are talking about our culture, not someone else who isn't Raza talking about it, right? I applaud you ladies for doing that.
Gracias. We
you.
appreciate that. That's what we're doing. We want to get into deeps of the raza, what we are, what we truly are, so we could leave a legacy to our kids, so our kids could know, so they could be proud of who they are. You see another person that's a president, that's gonna be your color. And it's just we're here. I remember back in the day. I remember I went to a yard sale, and I'm talking about like maybe 92, somewhere around there, and my mom didn't know English, right? And we went, and my mom was putting her little pile, how Mexicans are with us, just the way we are, and the lady was like, no, unless you pay me, you're not going to take that. And I was like, and I felt so like I couldn't do anything, and when I got in the car, I looked back and I said, I'm never not going to stand up, like, you know what I mean? But you felt oppressed, like you couldn't say anything. And now we're here, we have a voice, we need to speak out. Our votes count, like, all that stuff is.
Right, and that's true. And a lot of people think Chicano is just the clothes or the makeup or the car or the tattoos. It's an experience. It's a history. We have traditions here that go back thousands of years, going back to the language. As Chicanos, when we realize, well, is there an official language to this country? There isn't. But there's a treaty, right, with our people, Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo for Mexicanos, that allows us to speak Spanish and maintain our history and our culture, right? So we always got to be conscious of that and say, hey, yeah, you know what? But I'm standing here, I'm Mexican, I'm from these lands. This is former Mexico, whether you like it or not. It's not California, it's California, right? And so we have to just remind people and remind ourselves more than anything that we're from here. Whether you crossed yesterday or we're here 5th generations, we're all Mexicanos. We belong here.
You were talking about the culture and the clothing, about how it started. It was because they didn't have money to buy, and it just became like a trend.
Yeah, I mean, that had to do with some with it. But we've always looked freedom in everything that we've had.
The
Anything.
pants, yeah.
I mean, if we were just going to have one pair of pants, we were going to make sure that they were always clean, presentable.
And if you didn't have that iron, you would tuck it under your mattress.
Or whatever. I remember
sleep on
using
it, have it
books.
crease,
I remember we had books. So
That's how we were
where the barrios never lacked talent or imagination. We just lacked opportunities or feria. But going to that, we're very resourceful. Right? Look what we do. And that's, how do you know if something is Chicano or Mexicano? It's custom.
Yeah.
Right?
We couldn't afford a straightener.
Yeah.
So I tell people to this day, even like my daughter, the iron, we had to put it on the floor because we didn't even have an ironing board. We put it on a toalla, put our hair right there and get the plancha and iron our hair out so our curliness could just be that straight. They're like, you did all that?
Yeah. And how
resourceful indeed.
Because there wasn't no
Right?
strainer back there like that.
Yeah.
We didn't have it. I didn't even know what a strainer was or a crimper was until.
And the funny thing and the
2000.
beautiful thing, that spread everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Before social media. So we had this common culture, and then you learn from someone, and it was real and it was ours. Yep. You would see someone, that's a Mexican, right? You could spot us from miles away, and that dress and that stilo was like, I may not have the fancy clothes, but I'm gonna look firme in my clothes. I'm gonna look respectable in the clothes. Those white tees, they always look super clean, didn't they?
Yep.
Right?
And crispy.
Like you just bought that, you just opened the bag, right?
Yep.
That was Glecha handed down how to keep them that way, right? Yeah. So it's all, tiene todo su porqué, right? It's just not, I can go to the store and buy it and poof, I'm an instant Chicano, right? Yeah. There's a whole thing tied to that, right? And that's what a lot of people don't get when they dress like that or want to be us.
And I talked about it earlier with you too. We're stereotyped too. We have a nice car. It's oh no, they're drug dealers. Mm-hmm. You know, why can't we work 2 jobs and have nice things?
Yeah.
I've heard comments when I pulled up in Valet before at the Ontario Mills before, and a certain car, you know, and it's like, oh, look at that car, it must be drug dealers, because it was crazy. It's crazy, and I'm just like, wow. You know?
Yeah, and they don't know that what we invest, right, in those cars, it's a lot of pride, right? It's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it's important to be seen cruising firme, right? Just like your clothes.
Exactly.
Right? And people don't understand the value or what it means to us, right? To rescue a car and transform it, right? And make it like just, it's a work of art.
Like you're saving it. You're seeing, you're like, oh, you know, you just see, when you see a car and it's not fixed, you just look at it and be like, you could just see the potential. And you just
you're a car person.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, how beautiful it's just going to turn out, you know? Like,
So when you see those cars, like I said, you know, the primered ones or the ones that, you know, that need some touching, you look at it and you see, you already know that the potential that's there, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see what that person does to it, or I wonder what they're going to do to it.
And they're all unique.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? No lowrider could be the same year, same model, but you put them side by side and they're all different, right?
Yeah.
The details in them.
The details in them, exactly.
Like my girlfriend, we both have 87 cutlasses. And even though they're considered both like purplish, they're so different.
Oh yeah,
she put hers is a lavish lady, and she put her beautiful touches, you know, to her car, and then I have girls in the hood, so I put my hood touches to my car, you know. So even though that it's the 87, they're just different.
But it represents each one of you guys.
Definitely.
Your personalities. Like everybody's car.
Our personalities for sure.
We're unique.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're unique in everything that we do, right? So the low riding goes back to the charros, right? Yeah. And that's where that comes from, the horses, their hair, braiding them, the saddles, everything. So we come from that tradition. Now it's just on cars.
Yeah, because the saddles, they had the pinstriping, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the tejidos, right? The cito piteados, and that translated into pinstriping, metal flake, patterns, you name it,
the
right?
The ribbon in the hair.
The ribbon, exactly.
We're so colorful, even like the dresses, the folklorico, everything just so colorful and beautiful. I remember my grandpa doing tile and putting little pieces together and made the bathroom so marvelous. You know what I mean? Why? Because we just had that. It's in our...
It's in us, in our DNA.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Yeah, if you go back, like if you guys get a chance to go to Mexico and visit the pyramids and check all of that out, you're like, wow, we come from that.
It's magical, those pyramids. I went to the pyramids in the...
Teotihuacan, outside Mexico City?
Mexico City. And one of the tour guides, he said, go to the top, take off your shoes, and abre las manos a los 4 vientos. So to the 4 winds. And when I got up there, it was windy, and it made me cry. Wow. It made me cry going up there. Yeah. I don't know what it was. I was just crying.
It's
but
the history,
I took
the
off
spirits.
my shoes. It was just spirits. But there's so much, in those pyramids. Yeah. And it's a hike up there, let me tell you. I'm on with my asthma. I'm like, dang. I had to stop like 3 times. But once you get up there, it's just beautiful. It's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
To come from those civilizations, right? And then we put that out there in the ranflas. Gorgeous, right? We let people, hey, we know who we are, right?
Guerreros,
We're from here. Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's where we really come from. It's not just a pain. A lot of young kids might not know, but that's who it was. Who was guerreros fighting, you know? Like, it went way from back then to Pancho Villa. We've always been guerreros, you know what I mean? Including the past president, you know what I mean? That señor, I think, was a great president. He had it in his blood. You could tell, like, he wanted to fight for the country, you know? And I think we can make a change, you know? I think we're here. We're finally here. And I think our voices are here. And I think it's up to us to make the change, you know? Bring it brown.
Definitely. We're the majority. We don't have anything. We don't even have anyone running for office that's Chicano. Isn't that crazy? We're not running the school boards, lawyers, city hall, police, nothing. So it's about time that we come together, right? And realize that if we don't come together now, we're done, right? They're attacking our language. They're attacking. See how presidents win? How do they win with their platforms? We're going to raise the border higher so the Mexicans can't come in. There they don't say Latinos. They say straight up Mexicans. And Trump said the M word, right? Mexicans are coming across the border. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We've always been here, right? So it's that, right? How do we come together as Raza?
And we're talking about Mexicans, you know, at this point, because a lot of other races get it easy, carnal. Don't you think? I think a lot of other races really get it. We've been here for years. This is our country. It was part of our land, and we're still not getting it, you know. All these other people came, and, you know, it's always, when they use the word illegal, it's always Mexican, you know, or Latino or whatever, you know. But it's mostly Mexican, and it's like everybody else comes, they get a pass, they get money and all that. And when Mexicans, all that was trying to do, and we still to this day have people here that have been here for 25 years that still can't get papers because they either use somebody, you know, they did something that, but they're working, and they've been working for 25 years, you know, and but everybody else gets a pass, but it's always the Mexicans, you know.
It's us
and
that they don't want. It's funny, right? I mean, it's a tragic story that these people who are coming from Central, South America, they come here and they wait at the border. Like, all that wasn't a job. Raza just doesn't go through that. They just cross, and the next day they're working already.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. Everyone knows that, right?
Yeah, so hopefully, you know, it's time. I believe it's time, and I think it's going to happen where people are just, our kids are our future, and for me, that's one of the major things, to let our kids to know that, hey, you could be an independent contractor, you could be this, you could make your money like that. You don't have to go work, you know, get you a career, you know what I mean, and come up.
Educate them. Yeah. That's the big thing, to educate.
Yeah,
you know,
education
and teach them the
key.
history from where we come from.
We are.
So.
Exactly.
So that way we don't feel like we're like coming into another country, but coming into what was ours. And reclaiming it, and more than anything, see each other as brothers and sisters and help each other, right? Come up together. We're stronger together. We're better together, right? You see how you were talking about your show that you did in El Indio and Coachella, how beautiful that was. Raza from Mexicali, from everywhere coming and celebrating. We need to do that everywhere, right? And have fun and celebrate it, and us coming up, right?
Us celebrating
getting
it
together.
So, carnal, you're a brown beret?
Yeah, I'm a brown beret, that SLAN member out of San Diego, carnala.
How long you been a brown beret?
I started in 2000. So I moved to San Diego in 99, and by 2000, I had joined up there, part of a danza group there, checked in with all of the cultural centers there, and did my time literally working with the community, right? Supporting all the Raza organizations there. And the Brown Berets was, for me, it was there to defend the people. So we were the front line of everything that happened. And we're like, we want to be the true barrio warriors. This is where it's at, right? So we get browned up and protect and guide. We're not leaders, but we're there to protect the people, right? And that was how I felt it was a calling for me to be a brown beret that's line. I still am.
And how long was that process?
It took a while, right? It's not like you just shine up and then you know, there's a process where they do a background check on you, and you got to go to the meetings, and you're presented in the community, right? There was a thing where they would get together and they would present you, hey, these guys are trying out, literally. Wow. And then you had to prove yourself, community service, just cleaning, believe it or not, cleaning up streets, asking neighbors, hey, what do you need? How could we help you? And then showing up to events. And you start earning literally your stripes. Mm-hmm. And after a while, okay, cool, you're in, and then you got to earn your patch, and you got to earn all these other things. And I would just learn to be very respectful and learn. I learned from one of the greatest, David Rico and Paz Descanse and Irena Mene. They were like crucial to the Chicano Park takeover. If it wasn't for them and other people, but particularly them, that we wouldn't have that parque.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit of the story of Chicano Park?
Yeah, so it was, of course, like a typical neighborhood everywhere, right? Just being demolished, removed for the sake of progress and condominiums and other housing, right? And so Barrio Logan, one of the oldest neighborhoods in San Diego, they started dissecting it and started putting freeways into the barrio. And finally that peace was there. And the city was deciding, what are they going to do with it? Is it going to be another junkyard? Is it going to be a police station? Is it going to be this? And the people said, you know what? Chales, we need to take that land for ourselves. And that sparked that movement. And the people came out. Wow. And the beautiful thing is that people did it themselves. They didn't get any handouts from the city, from anyone. They took it upon themselves to make it happen. Right, and that's the beauty of it, because if you look around, we don't exist on television, right? On billboards or movies, and if you go to that parque, it's all you see is a reflection of yourself. So that's the beauty of that park, right? And 1970 was the official takeover, April 22nd, and it's a beautiful park. It should be a model for other communities to have one, right? Not just in San Diego, right? Every barrio should have a Parque Chicano.
And I think it's little by little happening.
Yes.
You know, we had the brothers from Oceanside.
Yes.
You invited me to a thing that they had going on there. Something was happening that people was kind of complaining about the park because it had murals.
So that neighborhood is right off the 5 freeway in Oceanside. I'll say it's Barrio Pozole. And one of the carnales got the idea of putting murals on that park. It's a historic Chicano Mexicano neighborhood. It's in Valderrama Park. Shout out to the carnales over there, con respeto to them. And they got together. And they did it through proper channels. Yeah. They went through the local city hall there. Said, well, this park is going to happen whether you like it or not. So that we get your blessing or not. And they did. Awesome. And now that park is their park, literally now. Now they feel represented. Now they see the legacy of their ancestors who lived there, and they see it on the walls. Yeah. And it's clean and it's beautiful, and the community is painting it.
It's bright.
Right. Yeah. So
That's
you
awesome.
see that? So
when we went by there, right?
Yeah.
With that night at 3 a.m.
In the morning, when we did Day at the Bay, all the lowriders, all the ladies.
Even at 3, 4 in the morning going by
all
that,
the ladies and
it
the
was
lowriders.
just so, it popped.
Yes.
And I could see it on the corner of my eye, and you have nothing but to do is turn to the right and just look at the art.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And to see you, right?
Yeah.
To see your history, your culture there. So it gives you even goosebumps, like, wow, you know,
Most
we
definitely.
exist. Right? And that's what that paint does. It validates our existence here.
Yes.
Such a beautiful mural.
It was like history for us. At 3 a.m, all the ladies and the lowriders lined up. How many was it? It was like over 30, 40 lowriders.
That was for the Day by the Bay. We went through there, and there was already some of the car clubs lined up right there. And
just hanging
we
out.
We kind of wanted to even stop there.
I really would have loved to stop, take
like,
pictures, especially just, you know, being in our element that night with the lowriders, and especially with
just
our gente. And then, you know, and then you have that that spot, that culture spot, you know.
Yeah.
Historic
magical, right?
spot.
It's like
Yes, very.
You feel like everything comes together, right? Full circle.
And that's one of the things I remember is cruising is just when we're going, I just look to the right and you just see the brightness, the yellow, the orange, you know. And I'm just like, okay, I
You
will
know,
be back.
and it happens to me in like places where I go, like La Placita Olvera. Just things are ours. Our Mexicans are there.
Yes.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
It's like so, and I don't know, we just respect it so much. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's
it's ours, you know.
yeah.
So there's a connection to that, right? So when we don't exist in textbooks in our schools, right? And then when you go around to Placita Olvera or Old Town in San Diego or in Santana and you see those old, that's where the cities
Murals,
grew out
yeah,
of.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Those were the first streets. And the names Sanchez, Lopez, Nuestra Señora Reina de Los Angeles, that's in our language. That's in our parents,
Yeah.
grandparents, great grandparents' language. So it's a connection to it. It's us. It's
Yeah.
ours.
And we got to see it because we came from an era where it wasn't there. Now everybody, this younger kids are not gonna, but we didn't. We didn't see Perez, and like I said, like working in office, those last names you never saw him. You know what I mean? And it was always like. Like my parents that didn't speak English, like me, I had to translate all the time,
Same. I
everywhere we
had
go,
to do
all
it
the
too.
time. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Still doing it.
yeah,
Still doing
So
it.
now to have people that work there that actually speak Spanish, it's like it's
different,
different,
huh?
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful feeling.
And the thing
Definitely.
is that, I'll share a story with you really brief. I went into a Costco and so the guy started talking to me in Spanish and I did. And some other came in and he's like, so you speak English, right? And he's like, yeah, but I also speak Spanish. Like my money's not worth it. My money doesn't count. Like I can't be free to speak Spanish here.
Right.
Right? Is this going back to the 1930s? Right? Where no Mexicans allowed, no blacks allowed? Like what are you doing? Are we really free? Right? So
Well, I want to know, what do you think about, I want to know more about the Chicanoism in your point of view.
well, Chicano or Chicanos, Chicanas are of Mexican descent. Right? It's a shared experience. It's a culture. It's a language. It's a food. It's history. Right? I know a lot of people claim to be Chicanos, and I get it. Our culture is very beautiful. Who doesn't want to be us? Right? It's just facts. Right? But there's a shared history. There's a struggle. It's just not clothes. It's just not the car, and it's not the food. It's everything, right? That makes us that, right? You were talking about the cars, right? And then you saw that, and that complemented that, right? They don't have that. They wouldn't know what that is.
Yeah. It's magic.
In all
It's
of it.
magical, right? And so
It's a feeling.
it's a feeling. It's
sure.
a feeling of love. It's a feeling that you have for your people.
Yeah.
I don't know of other people who dress like this. I'm down with Mexicans. Really? Would you vote in favor for us? Would you give a Mexicano Chicano a jale, a job? Right? Do you pop the locks when you see us walking by? Right? Do you give us an opportunity? You see, and that has to be asked. Right? And I don't think a lot of people do that. Oh, look, she's cool. She's dressed like that. But does she have love for Mexican people?
Right.
And if you don't, then you probably shouldn't be wearing that. Right? There's different, we come from different people corridos, the people do rap, the people who do this. But there's a certain love and a certain respect that we have for each other, right? Just breaking down and saying a couple of words in Spanish is like, okay, that's cool. I get you. Can someone who's not Mexican, can you flip that in Spanish? Carnal a caile. And they'd be like, huh? What? So there's not a connection anymore, right? So, but Chicano, Chicano is the term that we created. And people are angry with that because they didn't give us that name. We gave that name and we gave that power, right? And that's what that really is. Chicano wasn't really an ideology, but it was more of a strategy of us coming together and say, hey, let's end this. I'm from Texas. I'm from here. We're all Chicanos. We have this common experience and this common culture. Let's come up together. And if we don't come up together, we're going to be screwed because they're taking our land. They're taking our history. They're taking our language, taking all of that from us.
Have you heard of the word pocho?
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
the word pocho. I've heard...
Am I
it's
a pocho?
interesting.
Am I a pocho?
It's interesting. I had heard it the other way around, right? I had heard a story from my grandfather saying that pochos, it was like kind of like a culture shock when the braceros came in the 1940s to work from Mexico here during World War II, and they encountered Mexicanos from this side of the border, right? Occupied Mexico, and the Raza from here is like, hey, do you know here? Do you know this? And they were like, no sé, ustedes son pochos. Because the Mexicanos here, what do we want to do? We want to soak up as much Mexican culture that we have, right? We tattoo it on our skin. We put it on our rights. So we want to know, like, hey, you're from Parral. Do you know this? Did you go here? Did you do? No, no sé. ¿Cómo que no sabes? But yeah, pocho is someone who just really doesn't care about their culture. They just happen to be Mexican, but really don't care if they are or they're not, right? I mean, and if you don't know Spanish, I grew up, I didn't see it. Well, learn it. You didn't learn how to be an engineer overnight, right? Why can't you put that? Because they don't see value in our language. So I always tell people, I don't want to speak Spanish. Learn it. It's part of who we are, right? Oh, does your abuelita speak English? No, so you're denying your daughter that connection with your grandmother over the language? So your mom or your grandmother is not worth meeting your daughter? So you got to be careful what we're doing sometimes of denying that language or that history or that culture, right? But Chicano, again, is just us coming together and realizing it's not about communism or anarchy. It's us coming together and getting the highlights that we all have and representing for each other. You can be a police officer. You can be whatever you want, but have love for our people.
So do you think, so going back a little bit to Pocho, so I from my understanding, Pocho is somebody that doesn't really know how to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay, but then again, we got to understand, back in the day, like in the older days, it was a shame for you to speak Spanish. So a lot of the parents that spoke Spanish didn't want their kids to speak Spanish because they didn't
have to learn English.
Yeah,
They wanted to put
and that's why
English
a lot of people didn't learn. There's older folks that didn't know Spanish because their parent, it was looked like it was a bad thing.
Yeah, that was a different time. Now, you don't need to go to a class. You can do that on an app. So how much really do you have love? You can complain about it, but be about it, right? So the time is now to act, right? Did we learn how to work on our cars? By asking, by giving it time, TLC, right? Tender loving care, figuring things out. Then the same thing with the language, the same thing with your culture. Travel, find out who you are, find out where your family's from. Embrace that.
For sure.
You see that? And that's empowerment there.
It is. It is just to know your roots, where you came from on both sides of the parents. Because, sometimes your parents, one's from a different world and your other parents from a different, world. So.
So learn who you are. It's very important.
Yeah, I posted a throwback picture of me in 90. I want to say 96. I want to go visit my brother, so I posted a picture, a throwback. And then I got so many messages. Oh my God, my parents are from Parral, Mexico.
Wow.
I'm from Chihuahua. My parents are from Chihuahua. So it was like, wow, this is pretty cool, because I don't post a lot of my throwback pictures of me visiting Mexico, but. You know what? I was like, let me find what other pictures and stuff that I have,
It's a beautiful state.
It really is.
With a lot of history and culture and during the independence, during the revolution, during pre-Columbian times. It's the biggest state, right?
Yeah.
And it has so much history. It's beautiful. Who wouldn't want to be from Chihuahua,
You know what? I have to say the best hamburger I had was in Parral. And, when they put the jamon,
With the piña?
My God. I have not had a hamburger like that since the 90s.
Yeah.
And that was the best hamburger I had was in Chihuahua.
Yeah.
They're known for their meats.
Yeah.
It's a lot of cattle land, right? All the northern part of Mexico, they're known.
Well, the meat is different.
Yeah, the meat is
Mexico
different.
meat
No
is
preservative.
different.
It's now frozen, right?
Way different.
Yeah.
Everything's way different,
Very fresh. We'll just say that, right?
If not, just make it across the border. Eat it It's still a different experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But me, pocho, that when I was growing up, when we would go to Mexico, they would call us pochos.
Yeah.
Yeah, because but we would speak Spanish because I didn't know English growing up.
Yeah.
My grandma, my parents, straight from Mexico, so we didn't speak English in the home. We only spoke English in school, and we had to learn it in school.
Right.
So it was kind of hard for me growing up. It's like the mix of two. And to my grandma, it's like, you don't talk English to her. She'd be like, no.
But that's the thing, right? So how do we now with our kids?
Yeah.
And say, hey, mijo, hey, mija, learn that language.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you to Parral, and I can't have you as a tourist there.
Yeah.
Do you know? Because then they only get half of that trip. Versus if they spoke the language, then they come back another person.
They need to see and hear the whole experience, especially interacting with the people who live there, the people who want to come up and ask them questions.
Right.
And, you know.
Yeah.
Well, my son, too, growing up with my dad, he said, I'm not going to take you to Mexico if you don't speak Spanish.
Right,
So
yeah.
they had to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
My kids had to speak Spanish.
And, you know, one of the things that I've done with my kids is I made them dual citizen. So as Mexicanos, Chicanos, we have that right to do that.
Yeah.
So then that's going back to we need to take advantage of both countries.
For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're U.S. citizens here. Cool. Are we Mexican citizens over there? No. Why not? That passport can get us all a bunch of countries too. You can get free schooling in Mexico if you're a Mexican citizen. Free health care. So let's say you get your bachelor's here, then you can get your master's over there, potentially for free, and the U.S. will recognize it. So we really need to look into our history and culture and what both countries have to offer, right? At the end of the day, we're from these areas.
We're very lucky to be like that. Yeah, take advantage of all that. You know, people don't speak about that, but that is very true.
Right.
You know, like you could go to Mexico and go
to school,
finish your master's.
Top universities, right? We don't think of it that way, right? And we need to start looking and seeing and giving respect back to our history and our culture and say, okay, you know, we're from here.
Yeah, definitely. Let me ask you something. You had a magazine back in the day, right?
Yes. My carnal and I, we did this magazine called Evolución of the Brown Magazine. And it started to kind of showcase Raza rappers. And so we would reach out to them, drive out there to see them and meet them. And it's beautiful, right? Because we kind of saw... I don't want to say the humble beginnings of it, but we got to see like that early part of the 2000 and all these rappers and got to see when it was, I don't want to say it's not legit now, but when it was authentic, right? Where they would have shows, people from the 805 come down to Los and here and everywhere and host these concerts. And if you knew, you knew, right? And they had happened. And so we wanted to make sure other people knew about these artists. So we'd find a artist in Texas and write this magazine and mail it out to them. And all of a sudden, we would get a bunch of CDs and cassettes, and we listen, review them, but from a Raza perspective, with love, right? Oh, man, this should be on the radio. And it's not. Why? Why are we not giving ourselves an opportunity? Mm-hmm. So that was one way us to showcase. We met a lot of firme gente, you know? And I see them now, and I'm like, I salute you. You maintained, you kept on, you know, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
But again, if we go back to the whole premise of chicanismo, it's us supporting us. Like, we make everyone else rich, right? If you notice that, right? We go to a concert, any concert, who's there?
Yep.
Who goes to all the other black rapper concerts? Us. When do they come to ours? They don't. Do you see all that culture of that they go, oh, that's West culture? Nah, that's Chicano culture, right? Everyone makes feria off us except us, and it's about time we come together. So Chicanismo, not really an ideology, but a strategy. Like, I see you. How do I help you? Oh. Right? I got you like a backpack. Let's go. Vamos.
But for the record, can we just clear that Chicanos are Mexicans that were born here?
Yes, Chicanos are...
Or Mexicans that was raised here.
Yeah, so politically Chicano, right? Of saying, hey, I know... so for me, personally, a Chicano is someone who doesn't see himself or her as an immigrant, who's trying to be in tune with their history and culture, right? Whether you were born here or not born here, but you see that we have this common history in the 7 states that was former Mexico, right? Everyone has that story, carnal. Oh, I didn't speak English, but I went to school and then I learned it and I was the official translator. We all got that story somehow or another. That's us. And why don't we make it better for our grandparents, for our parents, right? Translate and help each other know, hey, it's okay to speak Spanish. It's okay to eat burritos for the kids to go to lunch. Why should we be embarrassed of us? And that's Chicanismo. Let's support that business. Let's support that artist. Let's support the carnalas who are doing shows, right? That's kind of that's what they would be, right? A feeling of love and appreciation of your history and culture. Mexican culture.
Mexican
Definitely.
culture. So, if you are not Chicano, stop claiming it, please.
I mean, I see.
We embrace you. You could embrace this, but I'm not gonna say it. But there was some events happening that the person wasn't Chicana, and I was supporting it to a point where I found out that she wasn't, and it wasn't that I found out she wasn't Chicana, but then people go on the radio, and they ask them, "What is Chicano?" Well, anybody that's Hispanic, and that's not true. Chicano is Mexicano. It took us a long time. We fought a lot. Our grandparents, our parents had it hard. Going through racism, going through. We didn't have slavery, but it's pretty much the same. We're still slaves. We still can't. So the Mexicans had a different struggle. And we was here first, and it doesn't matter. Now we're willing to share the country. It's okay, but it's just Chicanos are Mexicans. That's it. Mexicans, Americans, Mexicans, but not Colombians or Puerto Ricans, or those are not Chicanos.
It's a different experience. It's a totally different experience. A lot of people say, "Oh, somos las mismas personas, somos hispanos."
No somos.
We speak English, right? We all speak English, right?
Yeah.
Can we vibe with someone who's from New Zealand? They speak English.
I mean,
Can we go to Canada and kick it and hang out with them?
we could kick it.
But can we? Can we relate to them? Did you see? And so it's a different experience. And a lot of people come to this part, former Mexico, right?
Sometimes
the 7 states.
sometimes it's even different when you go into a different city.
Yes. Now
the
imagine a
feeling's
different
not
culture
different. So
and
it's
food.
like, it's like you're in LA, you go to a grocery store versus you go into a grocery store in Glendora.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah, and
you
so
know?
and so it kind of robs us of our legacy and our history and culture. Like the Carnala said, we fought so much for rights for everyone, right? When we talk about the desegregation of schools, Mexicanos fought that first. That was in your area.
Yeah.
And then our African-American brothers used that case to win theirs. Do you see that? The desegregation of so many things. And that's that experience that they don't have.
Yeah.
That's where that Chicano power, que si se puede, we need to come together. I know people want to be us. And it's an honor. It's it's always flattery, right? Imitation is the big, right? It's flattery. But you when you limp us up as immigrants and from South America, then we lose our ties and our history to this land that our ancestors so fought for.
And you should just embrace where you're from. If you're any other, embrace that heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that's who you are. And
Give
you're
us our
here,
respects too. A lot of people say, "Oh no, anyone could create that." No, you didn't. We did, right? And that's where that comes from. We're Chicano. You're that. That's it. And then, are we Hispanic?
No, we're not Hispanic.
Do we call ourselves Britannic?
No.
Right? Because that's the same thing. Oh, somos hispanos de España. Well, where do we get this English from?
I mean, but hey, if that's what floats your boat,
then
float your
yeah.
boat, because you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know, and it's okay. Sometimes.
But we got to learn now, Carnala. Now it's at the palm of your hand, right?
Yeah, and I believe that, and then again, this is why we do this kind of shows, because we want to teach our youth who they are. You know what I mean? Be proud of whoever you are. It doesn't matter what you are. You know what I mean?
You belong here as a Mexicano, Chicano. You belong here. We're not immigrants, even if we came across yesterday, even if you don't have papers.
Yeah, I mean,
our culture, check the cities where we live, the states where we live in, right?
Estrella, we have like streets like Estrella, Santana, Los Angeles, you know, I mean, look at the
Santana,
names,
Chula Vista, San Francisco,
Jose.
Sacramento, Texas, Albuquerque, you name it, right? People are asking me, do you think we should build a border above Dallas? Did you see that? What do you mean? Build it above Dallas, right? So, what? And no diss to anybody, right? But if you're going to start calling us out, then we got books that back us up and treaties. You don't. Right?
So we're here. But
Tell us about your event. The event that we have up here.
That's coming in 2 weeks.
We'll be
it's
there.
the second. Gracias. I really appreciate it.
We'll be there.
Gracias.
Don't miss it.
We'll
This
make
is
sure
San Diego.
we'll make sure to take care of you. And as the title says, Uniendo Aztlán, all neighborhoods, all cities, all states come together, and it's us coming together, shaking hands, taking pictures. You know how powerful that is? I just met the culture queens. They're for the Raza. They were so friendly. You know, it has an impression on you. Yeah, I know you guys are big time, but you have that impression on the youth coming up. And when they see us together, then, hey, let's do that over there.
For sure.
And how come we don't do that? And then we can support unidos. And la cultura une. We had that. You brought out tamales.
I'm excited.
And how was that?
We got tamales today.
And everyone's, we know that. Yeah. Someone from overseas wouldn't know what that is. Mm-hmm. They'd be like, Chales, I don't know what that is. Yeah. But we're like, I already told the dude over there, I need to save me 5 because I need to take one. But ¿sí me entiendes?
Yeah.
La cultura cura.
Yeah.
And once we find out who we are, nos une. So this whole thing is to bring everything Chicano Mexicano under the sun. Poets, rappers, DJs, lowrider cars, remote control, graffiti, ballet folklorico, mariachi, and all of that. And again, it's a free event. We're not here to make money. We're here to make unity. We're here to make people realize what's a beautiful culture that we have.
I love that.
And that we can do that together without outside help. And it's authentic because it comes from the Cora. Right? Yeah. We don't need feria. We need you to show up and support the next coming artist, designer. Right? That's what we need. That's the whole point to this.
I'm so excited.
Gracias, Carnal. I hope to see you there.
Yeah, we're gonna. Crystal, she's also going as well. The young lady that was out there.
The vice president.
Yeah.
So I'll just share really quick on that artwork. There's a Carnal from Albuquerque or Burque, who did the design for us. He's a big-time Chicano artist, big time. His art is all over the world, and we met, right? And we started talking about it. He's like, Carnal, yo te lo voy a hacer. He's like, de todo corazón, carnal, yo te lo voy a hacer. And people see that how did you get El Moisés? El Moisés felt what we're doing, and we came together.
Wow.
You see that? And
out of love.
Out of love and con respeto.
Exactly.
Right?
Todo
for us.
That's beautiful.
Another South American couldn't understand that. The tacas, the bandana, the virgen, the ángel, they would be like, and we see that and we're like, I got it. I know exactly what that is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You see that? It's that common experience. They don't have it, you know?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a beautiful poster, man. It's so beautiful, and we will be there. Come out, we'll share the information.
Thank you.
Is there anywhere they could find you?
So if you go to the IG La Mexicana events, go there. That has all the latest info, and that page is dedicated to creating events in San Diego, supporting local vendors. That whole La Mexicana event started during COVID. Raza went always on survival mode, yeah? It's trying to sell everything out of their trunks y todo eso. And we heard one of our homegirls said, I can't go there. Why? They have 150 carnal to vend. And I go, what? Let's make some calls. Pa, pa, pa. Hey, I can got the center for this price. If we all can come together, that's $20 a head. And we came together and we had feria left over. Let's go hire an artist to perform. Wow. And then that started growing. And it's like a business. Nah, it's a movement. Yeah, it's a Chicano power movement. It's a Mexicano movement. Señor, los paleteros, cáigale. Right? Let's come together. And then we started doing it at cultural centers. And then the city started crying, oh, you can't get on the sidewalks? Okay, we'll bring it inside. Now it's a private event. Now it's like, you can't come in here. ¿Qué quieres? No entiendo. And then I got to go find a translator, right? Yeah. You see what I mean? So, again, it's just the power that we have, right? Hey, I need a picture. Who? Call Danial. He takes pictures. Who has a ranfla? That's when I called you for Dia de los Muertos, remember? Yeah. We need a troca. And I was like, how do how do I ask you but show you what you're going to be doing?
Santanera.
And Santanera came through. She was like, carnal, I got you this big old alfombra with the...
You know what? It was
Beautiful
missing, it was missing wood, but he's like, we need one, the guy that plays the drums up there. And I said, all right, he got to stand this way. And he stood that way. And I was going like 2 miles or 3 miles.
But how beautiful was that when you saw the picture? She was leading the Raza. Yes.
We definitely got to go for the other little
definitely.
I got to go,
Yeah, that's such a very cultural thing that you don't see often. I never seen something like that, carnal. And it was beautiful to see the whole raza, the homeboys, the homegirls.
Everyone's
everybody
included.
just walking.
Abuelitas con bastones, and we're like, Kyle Doña, getting wheelchairs and pimping them out with cempasúchil and making them feel like, no matter how old or young you are, you have a place.
And then there's food in there.
Tamales también.
Typical things that will be in, tostadas, tamales.
Everything that you want. So again, it's just, again, it's us taking the reins. And again, going back to the chicanismo, we need to start running things. We're the majority, but what do we have to show for it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You guys heard, you youngsters, come on, y'all, get it together, do the right thing,
Come out and experience it. And they'll learn something, some history. It's a lot of history behind it. So once they come out, they'll love it, and it's beautiful. It's just a beautiful feeling.
So what's your opinion on this current election?
We're not included. Both parties don't represent us. Both parties play us.
Do you see a difference from now from the 90s?
No, I don't. We're always on survival mode.
Yeah.
Again, talking about we're the majority now. Mm-hmm. The Chicano movement of the 60s and 70s only dreamed of having the numbers that we have today. We have no one who Raza is running for any office. It's time that we reactivate La Raza Unida party that they had in the 60s and 70s, or create another one that's for us. We're a huge voting bloc.
And so how do we create that?
Well, then we support a candidate that's going to give us what we want. And if not, then we put one up there.
Yes.
Right? We'll have that big lobbying power, that voting block. Then people come and we give them a list of demands. If you can't fulfill these, then no.
Okay.
The next one. Or we put someone that's us. Right? That's what we need to do, this Democratic, this Republican stuff.
And we have people out there that even the youngsters, we have them out there that want to be out there helping us. But I feel like they don't have that support. And we're here to support you. Mm-hmm. Reach out.
Yes. Yeah, call. I mean, and again, it's okay to ask questions. Hey, what's this? What's that? But I see the lady running and the gentleman running. They don't care about us.
There's a few in Santa Ana. I believe Hernandez is his last name, and I'm sorry, I might be wrong, but he's doing a lot of good things. And there's a few candidates out there like that are, they're in office are really for the raza, so we should start looking into them and like you said, putting and pushing them, because we need people out there to represent us, represent, we're here. I mean,
we're the majority. We don't have anything. And all these people come up. You see all these other nationalities, doctors, lawyers, and we're still in the same place. Yeah. It's a time we break that cycle and get educated, like the Carnala said. Go to school, get a job, start a business, help support these businesses.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely, if you're watching, we're here to support you. Reach out to us, where can they reach out to?
La Mexicana events. And part of the things that the next project for us is to hold meetings like this.
Yes.
Have these meetings where we can talk about how do we create a political party? How do we check candidates? How do we make them come to us? Right?
Yes.
And most of the people who live, I'll give you a quick example. So I grew up real close to here, Glendale, right? When I was there, it was majority Mexicans. We didn't have anything. A certain group came in, now they run it. Mm-hmm. It's like, what were we thinking? Why didn't we do that? All the celebrations that we had as a youngster coming up, they're all gone because they said, oh, that doesn't align with our culture. But you took those celebrations that went back 200 years And if we don't get in office, they're going to take everything away from us. That's the dangerous part.
So check our canal out, a la Mexicana events. Just stay tuned for what's coming. You also want to mention your other page, carnal?
Yeah, I mean, there's another page that I run. It's about documenting graffiti, placazos. It's another thing that people take and put it on their skin without knowing where that comes from, right? I'm finishing up my PhD on that, but I've been in love with those letters since I can remember. They were my landmarks. They were turn on this street, go here. And I could read them when I was a child. Yeah. And now people have them that just don't know what that is. And so for me, they're sacred letters. People die, people live for them, find a way to put them even inside the walls, right? We find a way to do it.
So follow him at his page. They're so interesting. And I guess this is it, ladies.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Thank you
for coming
you
through.
guys learned something. We had a great time. So.
Igualmente.
We appreciate you. Culture Queens in the house. We out.
Culture Queens, and we out. Thank you.
Adelante.